Second Republic lawmaker Dr. JUNAID Mohammed has warned those still calling for the implementation of the 2014 Constitutional Conference report to stop troubling themselves, as that will never be done at all. Dr. Mohammed in this interview said those calling for the nation's breakup are asking for the impossible. How do you assess the current state of the nation? He said it is one of the hopelessness and despondency. This country has never been so bad. We have people in charge who are completely incapable, incompetent, thoroughly inept, and thoroughly dishonorable. I'm now 70 years old. I have been politically conscious from the time I was 10 years because I come from a political family. Within the last 50 years of my life, in fact, from 1970, I have never seen Nigeria in this kind of hopelessness. One, the economy is in the tatters. Secondly, the security is absolutely messy and lousy. Thirdly, there's nothing you can call leadership. The political class is bankrupt and irresponsible, and we are in a situation where there is so much rancor and disharmony that you may ask, if you are in a desperate situation, who do you run to? It is not the government, because they have nothing to offer. We have a situation whereby we spend more time quarreling about who will be the next leader, who will take what position, what will be next, who will be the next governor, rather than the actual governance. If the nation's political class or the elites have nothing to offer other than quarrels among themselves, you can see that clearly the nation is doomed, and there's nothing to celebrate. There's a lot to feel disgusted in the way this country is governed. But every problem has a solution. How does the country come out of these problems you have highlighted? So first and foremost, there can never be a solution to any problem without adequate, competent, and effective governance. If a nation is not governed effectively, there is no way you can change that nation. We have been groping in the dark for too long. From 1960, when we became independent, up to present day. We have had some elusive internals when we had leaders that gave us hope, but that vanished either through assassination, coups, and attempted coups. And every time we have leaders, we thought they could justly justify the confidence reposed in them, but they turn out to be massive disappointments. They turn out to be liars, corrupt, nepotistic people. Who do you care about? Who do not care about the country, and who imagine that somehow by playing the media against the rest of the country, playing those who are privileged against the rest of us who are not privileged, they will somehow win loyalists. And unfortunately, they have not been able to do that. The country is so charged, so tense, that I imagine somehow that you can strike a stick of matches on it and then conflagration will ensue. That is very unfortunate for the country, and unfortunately I see no way out, especially with the current people who are now in charge, because all their lives have been denigrated. Everything we have been told has not happened. In fact, it is getting worse. If a nation has a government that has only one agenda item, the moment that agenda is quenched, the entire government loses credibility, and without credibility, there is no way you can do anything. If a government comes in to fight corruption, and somehow some of the worst corrupt elements are part of the government or related to those who are in government, you can see that there is no hope. Talking about solutions to the nation's problem, former Kaduna Governor Balarabe Musa recently proposed breaking the country into 6 zones, which should be the federating units and devolution of powers. What is your take on this? And do you know what he said? What he was talking about is that the country should be broken up completely. Why didn't he come and say straight away, break up the country? Forget about what he called the federating unit, because the federating unit in Nigeria didn't create itself. not that they voluntarily came together and formed a country called Nigeria. Coming together of Nigeria was done at the instance of the colonial powers. And if you want to now break it, you have to go back to the period that preceded the colonial powers. And I begin to ask, I begin to ask, what are the constituent units? Nigeria came to being by the colonial powers, bringing the North and South together in 1914. And you now come to say, let us break what emerged from 1914 and after. And it's also telling us that we are going to do it on the basis of the current 6 geopolitical zones. He has to tell us the basis. Without basis, it turns out to be ridiculous. Remedy you can imagine. It turned out to be ridiculous remedy you can imagine. We had 12 states as federating units. We had 21, then 23, and now 36. No reason can one advance to persuade the people of this country that these 6 zones are the most prudent structures that have we can have in the country, and no one will listen to that garbage. The man is over 80. How come he never came up with this idea since? I believe in politics, and when the time comes and we have a serious crisis, which we need to put our best foot forward, men with ideas, not those who want to see their names on the pages of newspapers, because when we have a crisis, you don't simply talk of how we break up, but how you come out of the crisis. What Balarabe Musa was saying isn't new. It has been part and parcel of the Southeast for agitation of additional states, local governments, and of course agitation for presidency to go to the region. He was not part of the 2014 Constitutional Conference. I was, and I represented Kano, the largest state in the country. If he wants to know, if he wants to now be a propagandist and a demagogue for a section of the country, he can go ahead and do so. But the fact of the matter is that what is even canvassing cannot be delivered even in his village in Kaduna. When he mentioned devolution of power, has he told you the power that should be devolved? If it's education, then let me tell you, I'm not in government, but I have information in government. According to the constitutions of Nigeria in 1979 and 1999, primary education and substantial parts of secondary education are supposed to be the responsible of state and local governments. But unfortunately, they took or stole the money meant from primary and secondary education. So whoever was in charge over the years from 1979 to 1999 to date would have to now come and finance to ensure the running of primary and secondary school education. Otherwise, the entire education in the country would collapse. The federal government had to create parastatals to run education because the states would not do it if the money is given to them. What the law says is important to adhere to avoid anarchy. But at the same time, it is important to realize that in addition to what the law says, you have to look at what is practical and how to go about it. Do you deny the country education simply because we have irresponsible governors and irresponsible local government chairmen and their councillors? Because if the wordings of the constitutions were to be adhered to, none of the state governments would run their education system effectively. They would only steal the money. I don't go for cheap words or slogans. True federalism, this or that. In actual terms, what does that mean and how does it translate to your lifestyle, to my lifestyle, my security, your security, to social harmony between you and I and other people? These are what I want to hear from people who claim to be politicians, who think they know something. I don't even know where this man stands. And a lot of people are reacting to this man's position. Someone says here that he talks as if the North has the power of life and death. This man is particularly full of arrogance. It is very disheartening that we are in the same country with men like this. Honestly, South is in trouble. It's because of the free money of oil that we make Nigeria not to break, according to your assertion. But you are wrong. We are on the verge of going our separate ways. Yoruba is the one holding the nation together. If they man up today to go their separate ways, Nigeria will not just break but scatter in pieces. Well, Junai Mohammed, keep dreaming. There's nothing impossible as long as there is no justice and equality. Nigeria will break. We must let not go their separate way. We have nothing in common in all aspects of life. So guys, let us hear your opinion. We have heard what this man has said.